Assalamualaikum and very good morning. I be to Mr. Lokman as our lecturer for teaching of measurement, geometry, statistics, and probability. So today, I'm Ifan and Wafi will be presenting about misconception and common error in measurement, geometry, statistics, and probability. So here, there are three misconceptions are basically common error in daily school in Malaysia. Firstly is mixing up error and perimeter. Many primary students struggle to distinguish between area and perimeter, often treating them as a single measurement of size. According to Idrus et al. 2022, this confusion occurs because students do not understand that perimeter measure the boundary, one dimension, while area measure the surface, two dimension. In the classroom, this is seen when the students incorrectly believe that any shape with a longer perimeter must also have a longer area. For example, a student might calculate area by adding all the sides together, mistakenly applying the perimeter formula to a task that requires multiplication. Basically, the student doesn't understand between perimeter and area. So the common error that usually students did in school is the teacher asks calculate the area, but the students use the perimeter formula. Here, we can see the evidence I found in article that shows the mistakes that students commonly make in the school. So, we can see here when the teacher asks find area and perimeter, then we can see the area and perimeter the student always did in the school is using the perimeter formula for area. Basically, it's wrong. It's wrong. So, this is always happen in our Malaysian school. Then we go to the geometry, regardless, and shape classification. In geometry, students often identify shapes based on their prototype or typical appearance rather than their mathematical properties. But 2025 explained that learners often struggle to recognize shapes when their orientation is changed, such as refusing to call a title square a square. Additionally, students face difficulty with the hierarchy classification. They often believe a shape can only have one name. For instance, a student might argue that a square cannot be a rectangle, failing to realize that a square is simply a special type of rectangle with equal sides. This shows they are confusing on how a shape looks instead of its specific rules. So here, the example, a teacher shows a triangle with the point facing down. The student says, that is not a triangle because triangle must point out. So you can see that on the left side, which is the correct position of triangle, the student call it triangle. But when the teachers facing down the triangle, the student doesn't recognize it's also a triangle. But students say the triangle must point out. So yeah, this is wrong. Other than that, we go to the equal probability bias in probability. The 50-50 misconception, known as an equal probability bias, is the mistaken belief that all outcomes in a random event must have an equal chance of happening. English 2023 notes that students often confuse uncertainty with equal fairness because they cannot predict exactly what will happen. They assume every option is equally like 50-50. A common example is when a student looks at the spinner that is mostly red with only a bit of blue. The student may claim the chance are 50-50 because there are only two colors available. They ignore the actual proportion because they believe that luck treats all the possibilities the same way. So here is example when the teacher gives the students a plate of full marbles with blue and red color. We can see the blue color has nine balls, nine marbles, and the red one has the one marbles only. But the student always says the chances of getting red or blue is 50-50, even though we can say the chance to get the red one is 1 over 10. But the student was every has the same idea, which is 50-50.
Thank you, Ifan. Now we move to the three solutions that can be used to solve all that problems. So, for the first one, strengthening conceptual understanding of area and perimeter. To help students understand the difference between area and perimeter, teachers can use manipulative grids and real-life examples instead of only teaching formulas, which has been shown to reduce confusion according to Samsudin and Nugraha 2024. For the example, the teacher provides two different rectangles drawn on grid paper. Both shapes have the same area, example 12 square units, but different perimeters. Students calculate both the area and the perimeter and then compare their answer. This activity helps students clearly see that area refers to the space inside a shape, while perimeter refers to the total length around the shape. Second, enhancing visual and comparative reasoning in geometry. Students can better identify angles and quadrilaterals when teachers use visual activities and comparisons, helping them understand the shape's properties more clearly. For the example, the teacher draws two parallel lines cut by a transversal and asks students to color corresponding angle in one color and alternate angle in another color. Students then explain the relationship between the angles. These visual comparison activities help students better understand the different and properties of each type of angle and quadrilateral. For the last one, promoting experiential learning in probability. Students who think all outcomes are 50-50 can improve their understanding through hands-on probability tasks and exploring real outcomes, which help them see that probabilities are not always equal. For the example, the teacher conducts a dice rolling experiment by rolling a dice 30 times and recording the frequency of each number. Students compare the actual result with their initial prediction. This hands-on activity helps students understand that probability is not always 50-50 and depends on the number of possible outcomes.
So here is our reference. You can see this is from English. We have Idrus, we have Samsudin, Satir, and then that's all for references. Yeah, I can say that's all from us, Ifat and Wafiq. Thank you so much for hear our discussion for today. Bye.